How do you order food for the office these days? How do you make sure it's on time and as ordered? How can you get it individually packaged? How? EasyCater. When you order on EasyCater.com, the food comes as ordered and on time 98% of the time. And when there's a problem, which is practically never,
Thank you for calling EasyCater.
you can reach someone in about 9 seconds. How do you order 24/7 from more than 80,000 restaurants? How? EasyCater. Order 24/7 on EasyCater.com.
Hey, I'm Peter Bukowski, host of the Locked On Today podcast. Trying to stay on top of every big story in sports is a full-time job. I know, because it is my full-time job. But it's not yours. That's why we have a network of local experts ready to give you the inside scoop on everything you truly need to know in the sports world. And we do it every day to make sure you're always caught up on the latest and greatest in sports. Listen to the Locked On Today podcast every day on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts.
Some holidays are all plays, but they aren't that significant, right? Like New Year's or Valentine's Day. I mean, they're nice, but what are we really celebrating?
What do you mean? Don't snub love. You're snubbing love.
Now back to 95.7 The Game.
That is not holiday production value. That is prime time, middle of the week production value. So they are not sloughing off there on the ones and twos. All right, everybody, welcome in. It's a Scrub Sunday, 1 hour done, 3 hours to go. And so much to discuss with Whitey Gleason and Jim Kozimor. Here on a glorious day, the 4th of July, you've got the hot dog eating championships going on. Whitey, I can think of nothing more American than eating a bunch of hot dogs. That's all I'm saying.
I only very recently found out that Joey Chestnut, San Jose guy, apparently he's originally from Vallejo. And I'm from Vallejo, and I didn't know that. And I don't know if he was born in Vallejo, and then, maybe the family didn't actually live here. But looking it up on Wiki, he's actually a Vallejoan, a Northern Californian, set a record today. Coz, I have a very long and complicated history with the hot dog. Like most kids, is one of my very favorite things to enjoy. I used to sell hot dogs on the streets of San Francisco, professionally for many years. I have a hard time watching the contest. I watch the introductions, the actual competition. It makes me a little queasy. So I saw the introductions. I was happy to see that he won. Congratulations, Joey Chestnut. Vallejo's Joey Chestnut. Hooray. And make no mistake, a hot dog is a sandwich. Okay, there's no question. That is not debatable. A hot dog is a sandwich. Congratulations, Joey Chestnut.
I don't know if it's a sandwich. I know it's a delicacy, and I will be having one today. Now, I may not have a traditional hot dog. I may get a sausage of some kind. It may be a wurst, a bratwurst. It may be a kielbasa. I don't know, but I'm going to have some meat in a bun at some point today.
Speaking of records, mentioned Joey Chestnut setting a record today, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Coach. I think you have just set a record for quickest shower because we went to break, and Coach, says, hey, coming up, why don't the Giants have more All-Stars? We'll be right back. And then we're getting ready to come back on the air, and Sterling says, Whitey, just, Coach is in the shower, so, just hang loose. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, I thought, what, did something happen?
I know. Just how clean is he if he can shower in the time of a commercial break?
I thought there was some sort of catastrophic spill of some kind that sent you scurrying to the shower, but no. You took your shower, and I thought, okay, here we go. And then, boom, you're back.
I like to keep it clean. I love to keep it clean. Well, this goes back to the aforementioned text at 888-957-9570 from the 650. Coz, what was the workout routine this morning? Someone must have seen me at my local gymnasium where I like to go, and I like to, you know what I do? I do the old-fashioned workouts. I get the old, the medicine ball, and then remember that one thing you got on it, and it's a belt attached to a machine. You put the belt around your waist, and it just kind of goes around in a circle. I do the old-fashioned workouts is what I do, buddy.
Good. Yeah.
So I was in the midst of my workout today, and as a result, I did not have enough time to come back and chow. So I thought in the last break I would clean things up, clean my act up. I got a little shower in, and then the next
Change
one
your shirt?
I'll fix my hair is the next one what I'll do. So,
I would guess, you being a TV guy, I'm guessing it's going to take you a lot longer to fix your hair than it will to have actually taken the shower.
Well, we'll find out. We'll see how long the next break is. I mean, I'm due for a haircut, by the way. We got to keep things clean. Hey, how about this from the 408? Coz, Giants would be considered legit if they had won every single series against the Dodgers, even if they had a lower win record. It's just viewed differently when you go against L.A. Thanks, Gil. Happy 4th of July to you. Here's one thing I know about the Giants and Dodgers, Whitey. Once you get past the All-Star break, you're going to start to see the Dodgers an awful lot. You've got 4 in L.A. from July 19th through the 22nd. Then you get a little palate cleanser at home with Pittsburgh coming to town. And then you get 3 more with the Dodgers. And by the way, after them, 3 with the Houston Astros. There is a stretch there of 13 games. 10 of those games are going to be a big difference maker, and specifically 7 within the division.
The good news is you look at the way the Giants are doing it, and I think we can all agree you can't really see anything they're doing where you can point to and go, okay, well, they're not going to be able to keep that up, right? Everything they're doing to this point appears to be repeatable. Yeah, they're hitting an awful lot of home runs. Maybe they won't hit as many, but it's not a surprise that they're hitting home runs, and the starting pitching has come around. I think the one thing you have to think Farhan has to focus on is, okay, but what if the starting pitching falters? That happens in baseball. So that's where I think he has to focus with the deadline coming up. And I'm just wondering here, 52 and 30, to what extent does that perhaps change his approach to the deadline? I've been saying all year long, look, it's Farhan. He's very patient. He's methodical. He's brilliant. Look at the moves he's made, the under-the-radar moves. They've paid off. I don't know that he's really going to change his approach, but they're playing so well, he may have to. I'm wondering if maybe he's going to aim a little higher than he would have if they hadn't won as many games.
You're right. This team is also going to continue to need some offensive production. Sure, they get a 6-5 win the other day, but you are, as much as we talk about the length of the lineup and the number of guys who can beat you, you're going to need your regulars to continue to be good. And that means Buster Posey, one. When he plays, he's got to produce. And he's old school, right? Because he hits for average. You're not supposed to hit for average, Woody. Didn't he get the memo? Buster, you're supposed to strike out or hit a home run. So don't go hitting 340. None of that stuff, buddy. You got to start pulling back a little bit. But Buster's one guy who has to continue to produce when he's in the lineup. And the other guy's Brandon Crawford. He might have found the fountain of youth, but it better last another 4 months for this team to really have a chance to consider themselves a playoff possible team.
Yeah, I was on yesterday I know you were on yesterday with the great Dan Devone, and I was on with Jason Dumas, or Dumars as you like to
Jason
disparagingly
Dumars.
call him. Yeah, and somebody suggested to us, look, if you're the Giants, you got to think about trading Crawford. And okay, maybe if he tails off, but I mean, he's having such a great year, and he's so important to what you're doing. Kind of one of the linchpins holding everything together. He was an all-star candidate. He'll almost certainly be on the all-star team. I know that you've got a tough decision to make at the end of the year, but there's no way I'm even considering at this point moving on from Brandon Crawford in the middle of this spectacular year.
I will beat someone down if they suggest trading Brandon Crawford. Brandon Crawford at one point was an MVP candidate. He wasn't going to win the MVP, but he's an MVP candidate, and I can make a case that as great as Fernando Tatis Jr. is, Brandon Crawford's numbers and production offensively and defensively are better than Tatis Jr. I can make the case. You don't have to buy the case, but I'm not embarrassed to make his case. Defensively, clearly he's better than Tatis Jr. Clearly.
Yes.
Right?
Fernando Tatis 6, that's what I call him, yeah.
Is that what you said? Tatis 6?
Yeah,
all righty,
Fernando
fair enough.
Tatis 6 Jr., yeah.
And there was a stretch where Crawford's numbers were within 1 or 2 offensively of what Tatis was doing. Tatis does it with flair. Tatis is a guy you pay to see. When I hear the Padres around, you know what? I'll flip it on to see if I'm going to see Tatis play. Is he coming up in the order? What is he doing? So he's that. But Brandon Crawford has been steady and productive, and it's been extraordinarily important to have him back to who he was a few years ago, to the point where not only should we never talk about trading him, moving on from him, I think the discussion is, how do you deal with him in the next 2 years? Do you give him a 3-year deal, 2 guaranteed with a team option for a third, or a buyout in the 3rd year? Do you give him a 2-year deal, 1st year guaranteed, 2nd year team option, maybe a buyout in the 2nd year? That's where I think you are with Brandon Crawford.
I don't know that you're there yet. I know the GM, when asked about that, Scott Harris has said, well, we just don't know yet. In other words, we're going to wait and see, how he does. Obviously, they don't want to say that, but is he playing so well in part because he had a shorter season last year? So the Giants don't need to make that decision yet, and I think they're waiting to see, without saying they're waiting to see, how he does in the second half of the year. I'll just say for Tatis Six Jr., as you point out, we don't pay as much attention to batting average, but 326 homers, he's driven in 56, and he's stolen 16 bases, and we're not even to the freaking All-Star game yet. So he's
pretty
amazing.
good. He's pretty good. No question, he's pretty good. But if you look at the Giants, a team that has been teetering with the best record in baseball, you've got a starter in Buster Posey. Who else is going to represent your team? Busty Poser. Exactly. He should be starting. In fact, I think people they took to him when I changed his name a little bit, and I get it. I'll take that. That's
I
on
don't
me.
think there's any way he's in the All-Star game as a starter if you hadn't done that. That's me. That's my opinion.
It's a good call, and that's objective, so I appreciate that.
I feel strongly that way.
888-957-9570. But listen, there are some other name brand shortstops out there. Javi Baez, who I think is overrated. But Javi Baez, pardon me?
Coming from a Cubs fan or someone with Cubs ties, I'll just say that. Very interesting.
I'm just saying, this is my opinion. I think there's a lot of flash and dash there, but I don't think there's a lot of steady production. That's my view. And I would rather this year have Brandon Crawford than Javi Baez. And there's some people who would laugh at me because of that. I disagree. Crawford should be in as a shortstop ahead of Javi Baez. Anyone want to argue that one?
I think they'll both be in. Neither one of them is going to be the starter. It is interesting. Buster, the only starter, and there will be other Giants in the All-Star game once all the selections are announced. But the Giants have one guy in the starting lineup, and the freaking Blue Jays, who are, 43 and 38, they're having a nice year. They got three guys starting in the All-Star game. Yeah. Yep. So, that speaks to the way the Giants are doing it with platooning at a lot of positions.
Okay, I get that. And the platoon system, though, might hurt them in getting representation in the All-Star game.
Exactly. Yes.
And that I think stinks. Gosman's going. Now, whether he pitches or not, it depends on how it lays out when you lay out the rotation. And I haven't seen if he pitches the day before the last day of the season, the last day of the first half of the season. I haven't seen the layout. So I don't know. But Gosman will go, but we don't know if he will participate. I would like to think that the Giants have earned participation from a few guys. Don't give me Brandon Crawford, have him make the trip to Colorado and have him sit on the bench. Let him get in an inning and let him take a swing. That's my opinion. So I want to see my team get represented.
I'm cool with that. Honestly, if I'm running a baseball team, and it doesn't look like I'm going to get to at this point, sadly.
Still time. You haven't checked your trash box. Remember?
That's right. My spam.
Your spam emails. When you never
You're right.
You might check it, and the next thing you know, you're off to Tampa to be the next general manager of the Rays.
If I were running a team, though, and about Gosman, will he pitch? If I'm running a team and I'm playing for something, I don't want my guy pitching in the freaking All-Star game. I'm going to start him right before the game, or I'm going to start him the first game back. It's like, look, I'll have to talk to him about it, Coz. And if it's really important to him, we'll have to figure something out. But I would much rather have my guy skip the All-Star game because he pitched in a game that mattered than waste some of his innings in the All-Star game, which, as we know, it's almost the motto. The All-Star game, it doesn't matter anymore.
You know what? Let me throw a wild wrench into your All-Star game suggestion.
Look out. Uh-huh.
Exactly. Well, because the game doesn't matter, and because teams feel their pitchers are China dolls, right? They are these very precious items that you cannot bump or ask to do if you got an 80-pitch limit. You can't throw 81. You got a no-hitter going, you're out of the game. What if we did this? You
don't like that, huh? You're not in favor of that?
I am not in favor of that. I'm not in favor of that. So let me just hear me out on this. Since pitching is at such a premium, and pitchers are so important, and teams don't want their pitchers to be overextended on a game that means nothing to anyone, what if we named pitchers to the All-Star team to get the honor? But every team sent either a AAA guy or they sent, a a non-all-star pitcher. Every team sends a reliever, and they're the ones who actually pitch to the all-star hitters. Why? Because long gone are the days. I remember watching Hideo Nomo throw to Frank Thomas and thinking, this is awesome. Nomo was the talk of baseball, and Frank Thomas was the big hurt, and you weren't going to see that because they didn't have the interleague play. You didn't see that all the time. Even if they had interleague play, they might not be matched up. So I was interested in that. You're not going to get that anymore. No one is going to see, no one's waiting around to see Shohei Ohtani throw to pick your National League star. Is it Buster Posey or whoever it may be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I would like to see Shohei, and of course with interleague play now, you do get other opportunities. I don't like that idea, though, and I know where you're going because we all remember Verlander, grooving fastballs in the All-Star game.
Yep.
And who was it at Chan-Ho Park grooving one to Cal Ripken, and whoever, which Cardinal was it? Was it Wainwright that grooved one to Jeter? So it's like, oh, come on, you're not even trying, why should I care? But still, if you're going to go AAA, I mean, I still hope that DeGrom – against Vladdy Guerrero Jr. I still want to see that. That's one of the things in the All-Star game that I would like to see, and I'm not willing to give that up.
I agree with you, but based on the way baseball is being played and legislated, teams don't want their pitchers throwing in that game. Mike Marshall ain't walking through that door to throw 100 outings in a season.
Mike Marshall. Nice callback. Yeah.
And it's a different game today. So I want to give the pitchers their accolades. Kevin Gausman, you're an all-star in the first half. But you know what? You mean too much. Farhan Zaidi doesn't want you throwing an inning down in Colorado, of all places, where the ball's going to be flying all over the place. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to give you your honor. You're going to walk to the baseline. You're going to tip your cap. You're going to smile. And then when it's time to play, we're going to bring other guys in. We're just going to here's pitcher from name your team. Here's the ninth pitcher from the Arizona Diamondbacks. The ninth pitcher from the Miami Marlins. Your thoughts?
I know the All-Star game ain't what it used to be, but you're just gutting the whole thing. I mean, we have to squint and try to pretend that it's anything close to what it used to be, but you're just giving up all pretense. It's just a game of grab ass here. That's we just want to see the best hitters hit and screw the rest of it, screw the whole aspect of the game that has to do with pitching. I'm just not willing to give up that ghost yet.
I think you've got, all right, that's fine. But when how many, and let's not kid ourselves, how many teams are going to tell the skipper of the National League team, you know what, we don't want you throwing our guy today. Sorry, we don't want you throwing our guy today.
Well, they do that now, and then they replace them. They say, okay, so Gausman was an all-star, but he can't pitch, so instead we're going to go with whomever. Drew Pomerantz, whoever. So they do that.
Pick your guy.
When the guys aren't available. Yeah. So to a degree, perhaps they do what you're saying, but still, the guy that they do pick is still supposed to have an all-star caliber credentials.
Yeah, he's supposed to, but it's a secondary guy to begin with. In fact, I think you're kind of making my point. They're not an all-star. The guys replacing the all-star are not all-stars. They're replacements. So why not designate every team, give me one reliever, and I'll have them fly to Colorado, and away we go.
That's not baseball. It's batting practice. It's two different things. You just want to. You can have all-star batting practice. Famous story: Pete Rose one year before the All-Star game, they're playing the American League, and they actually the National League got these tightly wound Japanese baseballs that just jumped over the fence. Pete Rose said, "Oh, the American League was terrified because then they were hitting batting practice with the regular baseballs, and they wouldn't go over the fence, and they were terrified of us. They didn't know we had the trick baseballs." But that's what you're talking about: glorified batting practice. It still has to. We have to cling to the last remnants of the All-Star game being somewhat competitive, and the best pitchers against the best hitters. I'm not willing to give up that.
Listen, here's the one thing I would love to have happen. I would love for Chris Bassett to be a representative for the Athletics, and I want him to pitch an inning. And you know what I want? The inning I want him to pitch when either Brandon Crawford and or Buster Posey are due up that inning. Yeah, because I love to see that. I loved it when Chris Bryant took, who was the lefty pitcher that the White Sox used to have? They traded him to the Red Sox, and then he blew his arm. Chris Sale. Chris Sale starts the stinking game. Was that game in San Diego? Starts the game, and Bryant takes him, goes yard on the guy. Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. That would be great. But guess what? It ain't going to happen because these teams don't want their pitchers wasting an inning.
Does anyone remember? I'm sure you remember, Coase, but guys used to, like the All-Star Game starter, it meant something. It was like an honor. And he pitched 3 innings. How stupid was that? I mean,
See,
at the
look
time
at
we
you.
thought, whoa,
Look at you.
That's great. That was dumb.
That's
was really
great.
dumb.
That's the way we should be doing it. Guys, it's an honor to be named an All-Star. And you should be representing your team and your city and the game and participating. That was a great thing to have happen. Have the pitcher, the starting pitcher, face one time through the order. And for you people who are voted in as starters, you get to play 3 innings. You all get an at-bat. Move on from there. Totally like that stuff. Loved
Do you
it.
remember the old cartoon? Gary Larson used to do a cartoon in the newspaper called Far Side.
Love the Far Side.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
really, really clever.
One of them, there's this guy, and he's in an alley, and he's obviously down on his luck, and he's sitting next to this giant cockroach, and the cockroach says, I had it all, corner office, big money, beautiful wife, and then someone had pointed at me and said, hey, that guy's just a big cockroach. And so that's really what we're talking about here.
What?
Yeah.
I don't even get that Far Side. I most of them are funny. That one, I don't even get it.
Yeah, well, it's just like that's the way things are sometimes. You cruise along, then someone realizes, hey, look, this is the way it is, and we all fool ourselves into thinking it's something that it's not. We used to think the All-Star Game mattered. You know what? It didn't. And pitchers were, I'm the starter of the All-Star Game. I'm going to pitch 3 innings so that my league can beat the other league. And now we just realize that was kind of quaint, but it was really kind of stupid. We've outgrown that. Hey, look, the All-Star Game is just a giant cockroach. That's where we are.
All right, so for the crowd, 888-957-9570, how much does Whitey hate America? Your thoughts.
What?
After that, it's stupid to have pitchers pitch 3 innings in the All-Star Game take. Dude, you know it and I know it.
Why they don't do it anymore.
You know it and I know it. You waited to see Atlee Hammaker throw against an Oakland A.
Oh, my goodness.
Right?
Atlee Hammaker to Fred Lynn. There's a first grand slam in All-Star Game history. Thanks for bringing that up from 1983 at Comiskey Park.
Oh, man. Listen, my bad. Coach Durant, call back. I didn't even know he was on hold. 888-957-9570. Coach Durant, you call back, I'll go right to you, I promise. But I just want to see all the matchups. I want to see guys play. And if they're going to legislate that the real all-star pitchers can't pitch because Team A calls and says, hey, we'd rather he didn't go because I want to use him when he starts. I want to start him the first game back. Well, then you're getting subpar pitching. And if you're getting subpar pitching, designate pitchers from every team to go. And then when you designate those pitchers to come in, then I think all we want to see is hitting anyway, right? It's all about offense.
Nah, I don't think so. Jacob deGrom is threatening Bob Gibson's record this year. I'd love to see him deal in the All-Star Game. I will say this, too. I'm maybe the only person on the face of the planet, other than, I guess, Bud Selig, who thought it was a good idea to have home field determined by the outcome of the All-Star Game. I actually liked that, and then it's like, okay, well, it matters a little bit, and then I guess people were just so upset by that. Well, forget about that. But I thought that was actually a good idea.
You know what? I'm not against it. Goes 9 innings. It's tied. Let's have another home run derby. Let's just bring guys up and hit home runs in the order that they were due up. It is an exhibition. It is an exhibition. I wasn't as against it as most everyone was. I think a lot of people were against it because Bud Selig deemed it necessary because of the 13-inning, garbage that they had.
By the way, and apparently one of those years that year where they couldn't finish, it was rumor has it, glug, glug, glug. There was a pitcher who was available, but he was drunk and couldn't pitch. But be that as it may. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really now?
Yeah.
Well, that's turning baseball upside down. We need a deep dive investigation into that. But I do believe that the game is fun, but if they're going to take some of the matchups away that I really want to see, and I want to see DeGrom go up against the best hitters in the America. You mean to tell me DeGrom going up against Shohei Ohtani when he's hitting?
Terrific,
you don't think that would be cool?
I do. You're the one who doesn't.
No, they're not going to let it happen. The Mets are going to say, you can't throw DeGrom. That's what I'm saying. I want to see the guy go 3 innings. You don't want to see that. I want the matchup. That's why I watched Nomo against a Big Hurt. And I'm not a White Sox nor a Dodgers fan, but I love the matchup. When Ichiro was out there, I wanted him to face the best National League pitcher. I wanted to see how my favorite player did against someone from the other league.
Yeah, it's not as special as it used to be because of interleague play, and that's fine. And also, we've just realized it doesn't matter as much to the players, and also with players going from team to team and league to league so often, some of those lines that existed, the barriers, the boundaries, if you will, between the National League and American League, they're just not what they once were, so the game itself is not as significant. That rivalry, there really is no National League versus American League rivalry, and that was really the foundation of some of the greatest all-star moments we ever saw.
All right, so if you're looking for sports betting content all day long, the BetQL network is now available nationwide on the Odyssey mobile app and website. Over 10,000 homes, auto-connected devices, and at BetQLnetwork.com. This is wagertainment for every fan, morning, afternoon, night. Betting angles throughout the day, insights from local and national experts, entertaining content to keep both casual, that's me, and hardcore degenerate gamblers like you guys listening engaged. Get sports betting tips from the best in the game, BetQL Network. That's BetQL Network. It's streaming now on Odyssey. Whitey Gleason, Jim Cosimo with you until 4 o'clock today on a Scrub Sunday special holiday edition as we go live and local here. And when we continue, a special anniversary for the Golden State Warriors. That's what the 4th of July is. But was that person, did he feel like he had earned his freedom when he did this? Oh, tying it back into the 4th of July. That's all coming straight ahead on 95.7 The Game.
Why is there a harbor seal walking around the office?
Oh, that's our new CEO.
Come again?
Well, apparently they didn't order through EasyCater for the board meeting, and when the food didn't arrive, they kind of lost focus. Next thing you know?
We have a seal as our CEO. Did I say something wrong?
No, she just wants a mackerel. Here you go.
Bad ideas happen when there's no food for the meeting. So make sure it's on time and as ordered from more than 80,000 restaurants. How? EasyCater.
Thank you. I just got promoted.
Order 24/7 on EasyCater.com.
Dealing with adversity and finding ways to unify and overcome it will always be part of our future. The new season of Hope Through History, a documentary podcast presentation from C13 Originals in association with the History Channel, written and narrated by me, John Meacham, features moments in our nation's past when we faced challenges as a country and as a world. Listen and follow Season 2 of Hope Through History, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
How's your mental health? I'm listening with Alanis Morissette.
When it first started, I would have my nightly panic attacks, but then I started getting really curious about all the sensations. Like, I just really started looking at, okay, so chest is, I got really kind of granular in observing the details of what was really going on with the breath and my jaw. It's just survival strategy. It's cortisol cooking nonstop. Chronic stress is trauma.
Explore more at imlistening.org.
Hey, I'm Peter Bukowski, host of the Locked On Today podcast. Trying to stay on top of every big story in sports is a full-time job. I know, because it is my full-time job. But it's not yours. That's why we have a network of local experts ready to give you the inside scoop on everything you truly need to know in the sports world. And we do it every day to make sure you're always caught up on the latest and greatest in sports. Listen to the Locked On Today podcast every day on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts.
A hot dog is a sandwich, okay? There's no question. That is not debatable. A hot dog is a sandwich. Congratulations, Joey Chestnut.
I don't know if it's a sandwich. I know it's a delicacy, and I will be having one today.
I'm talking good old barbecue. It all starts with the rub. Now back to 95.7 The Game.
What are you grilling up today? 888-957-9570. Do you save it up for this one time a year where you get together with your neighbors, with your family members, where you have some fun? Do you keep it simple with burgers and dogs? I'm actually going to a cookout that has already begun with sausages, burgers, dogs. That's the opening round. Then there's a little time off for you just to graze on charcuterie and whatever they have. And then tonight, they get in with the tri-tip course. So you better be ready to eat where I'm going today, Whitey.
Question. I have a question. Serious question. I've been told this. I don't know that it's true. I've been told by my good friend, and you remember Justin Case, and he told me that the difference between a barbecue and a cookout is if you're just grilling hot dogs and hamburgers, that's a cookout. And if you have other food items, chicken, what have you, then it's a barbecue. I've never known if that's true. It sounded like he knew what he was talking about. I always thought that was kind of interesting. The difference between a barbecue and a cookout. Is that true?
Well, that is one of the ways to make people believe things is to say something with assertion. Say it as fact. Like you get this a lot from people from the East Coast. They don't know if it's true, but they're certain. They just say it with certainty. And I think our friend Justin might have been pulling your leg a little bit. I have never heard a cookout is burgers and dogs. A barbecue, you add chicken, tri-tip, ribs, things of that nature.
I will say this, consider the source, and a dear friend of mine for years, he once went to the driving range, and he says, give me a bucket of balls. And they said, what size? And he said, just the regular balls that they hit on TV. And they said, you don't do this much, do you? So you do have to consider the source.
I would say that's a very good line, though, if he did deliver it. Okay, and he is a dear man. We're both both friends with him, but he is a dear man. If he did actually say that,
yes, he did. That's
quality.
Confirmed. Yeah, that's confirmed.
That is quality. Is what that is. And as you're listening today to Alive and Local at 95.7 The Game, feel free to use it the next time you go to the range. Mm-hmm. Feel free to use that line. Whitey Gleason and Jim Kozumor with you, 888-957-9570. It's our phone number, 888-957-9570. It's also our text line number. Let's see here. From the 408, awful idea. I'm guessing it refers to me with my idea regarding not allowing pitchers to go?
Pitchers in the All-Star game, yeah. You want batting practice, AAA pitchers in the All-Star game.
Because we want the best the game has to offer. Well, clearly, 408, you're not listening to me. You might as well have Bryce Harper's dad throwing in the game with that idea from Barnett. Listen, Barnett, here's the deal. I want to see Jacob deGrom throw to Shohei Ohtani. I want to see Shohei Ohtani throw to Buster Posey. But guess what? Joe Madden is going to call the skipper of the National League team, his buddy Dave Roberts, and say, Dave, I don't want you throwing Shohei Ohtani. Okay? Got news for you, my man. I need to save him because I think we can make a run in the second half. And that's why I think we have to have alternate pitchers. We're not seeing the best the game has to offer.
Well, I mean, we just go back to the last All-Star game, 2019, right? Because we didn't have one last year, unfortunately. I'm just looking up who actually pitched in that game. And I think because I don't think we're there yet. I understand your point, and yes, it's true. And as I said, if I were running a team, I wouldn't want my guys wasting innings in the All-Star game, but I don't think we're there yet. Just unfortunately, I'm having issues navigating this page here and determining what All-Stars actually pitched in that All-Star game. But let's see here. Justin Verlander, Masahiro Tanaka, Jose Barrios, Giolito pitched, Shane Bieber pitched for the American League, Liam Hendricks, Shane Green, Brad Hand, Aroldis Chapman. So this is the most recent All-Star game we've had. So I don't think we're to that point yet, that tipping point that you're describing where none of the good pitchers are pitching in the All-Star game.
I don't need facts. I need opinions. Okay? So take your box score from 2019 and you can scrub it on a Scrub Sunday.
All right.
Whitey Gleason and Jim Kozumor. I need a palate cleanser. So I need 64 SF, everybody. 64 SF as we go to the man on the ones and twos, right? Because we have producers, we have technical producers. Sterling Bennett Esquire is all over playing the sound on this show. This is a very important anniversary for those of us in Northern California who are basketball fans. Listen to these words and see if you can recall this being the anniversary of a very big day. Guys, give me 64 SF.
It's a lot of attention that comes with being in this position, and I knew that. And, when I met these guys, I felt as comfortable as I ever felt. And it was organic. It was authentic. It was real. There's feelings I couldn't ignore. So, I made a decision to come and play for these guys, and I feel great, and I feel excited about this opportunity.
That's the great Kevin Durant. On this day 5 years ago, he made his choice that the Golden State Warriors were going to be the team that he was going to take his talents to. Whitey Gleason, was the NBA forever changed on that very moment?
Well, certainly the course of history was altered. But you have to go back. I mean, just think if the Warriors had actually won that Game 7, how differently everything would have played out. But yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. One of the things I think back on when I remember that is the story, the David Griffin, who was running the Cavs at the time, and they were just celebrating still, right? 4th of July, 2016. And they're like, wow, we came from 3-1 down to beat the 73-win Warriors. And the way David Griffin tells it that day, 4th of July, when the announcement came out, they were like, we're screwed. Right? They had just won. And their feeling was, oh, well, we're finished. This is awful. So, yes, it sent absolute shockwaves around the entire NBA and then back around again. Stunning announcement.
Is that one of those moments for Bay Area sports fans? Is that a where were you when moment? Do you remember where you were when you found out Kevin Durant was coming to the Golden State Warriors, a team that was so talented, a team that you really felt was on the cusp of doing some greatness? Is that a moment, Whitey, where Bay Area sports fan says, yeah, I remember where I was. I was on the Bay Bridge. It was the 4th of July. I was heading in to see a fireworks show. I got an alert on my phone in the backyard of my buddy, and it said that Kevin Durant was coming to town. Is that one of those moments for Bay Area sports fan?
I think for most people, since it was a holiday, you were either at the barbecue or the cookout, depending on whether you had just hot dogs and hamburgers or whether you were actually grilling chicken as well. But I think it was early in the day, wasn't it? What I'll remember real quick is my wife's family was visiting, and they had the Lees, and you have Mike, big Warrior fan, and his wife, Ophelia, big Warrior fan, and their son, Connor, and their other, who was a big Warrior fan, and their other son, Owen, who was an Oklahoma City fan. And they were visiting us, and you can imagine what that was like, that split in their family was like, wait, what?
Oh, no.
Well, Kevin Durant is leaving Oklahoma City. And the other three are like, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. So, yeah, it was unbelievable, and it just, I don't know, it makes me sad in some ways to look back on that and hear how happy Kevin Durant appeared to be, because we know how it ended up. On the other hand, they did take care of business and got to the finals 3 times and won 2 championships.
Where were you when you heard the news? 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. I'd love to hear from you where you were, what you were thinking, and was it a moment for you that's one of those aha, I'm a Bay Area sports fan, and I know where I was when this particular thing happened. Most people remember where they were, I think, when the Giants won their first World Series. Many people remember where they were when the Warriors won their first of 3, not their first overall. Their first was back in the mid-'70s with Rick Barry and company, but their first since then, when Joey Lightyears, remember, so famously said, that banner up there is lonely. That banner is lonely. We're going to add to it. He got laughed off his own court, and that's when they started to add to the banners. You guys remember where you were when the 49ers, in their heyday, where were you on the day of the catch? That's for the older listener out there. What do you would remember? Where were you in the catch?
The catch, I think I was, let's see, that was
what year was that, 80?
That would have been 82, January of 82.
January of 82.
I was in semester break at SF State. I was staying at a buddy's house on Cole Street. I think I was selling pretzels, so I wasn't able to watch the game. Or driving around that day. Yeah, I wasn't able to watch it. But, yeah, the difference is many of these events, people were watching them. But something like the Durant thing, it's like you hear about it, right? That's the thing about the famous stories and news. Like you don't expect it, so you're not watching TV necessarily, but you just, wow, where were you when you heard? Kevin Durant, by the way, is back in the news because he's upset at the media again, which again I think gives us a little glimpse into just how, I don't know, how unhappy this guy is. Now Kevin Durant is unhappy because Jackie McMullen from ESPN, she was on the Bill Simmons podcast, and this is real quick. I know we want to get back to the phones. She said, I do think in talking with him, his genuine goal is to win 3 championships in Brooklyn. Okay, so that's what Jackie McMullen says. In talking to Durant, his genuine goal is to win 3 championships in Brooklyn. What's wrong with that? But
why
Durant
would he be angry?
Exactly.
At the NBA queen, Jackie McMullen. That makes me angry.
On Twitter, he said, once again, I don't even talk like this. Plus, I don't have a relationship with Jackie for us to have an in-depth conversation about my intentions as a basketball player. I get she plays an opinion-based sport, but she framed this like we are friends. We are not. It's like, oh, my goodness.
Wow.
This poor guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of anger in his heart. I think he's got some anger in his heart.
Yeah.
Do you think he's the guy?
You got to get mean.
he thinks everyone's out to get him, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think he, my understanding is he had a very, very difficult upbringing, which I'm sure has a lot to do with it. Maybe a little paranoid. I thought when he came here, he thought that, well, once I win a championship, then everything's fine. I'm vindicated, right? Once I go there and win, then I've got the ring and I'm vindicated. And instead, to a lot of people, it was the opposite. It was like, oh, that's a cheap ring. You went there to get a ring. And I think that really wounded him. And I don't think he understood that. And I think on some levels, he's still trying to come to terms with that. I was like, why don't people like me more?
To the phone lines, 888-957-9570. It's the text line as well. Scott's in Brooklyn. Maybe he was talking to Kevin Durant. If you're in Brooklyn, Scott, it could be that you run into the big fella, KD, walking the streets of Brooklyn. They have a good Polish neighborhood in Brooklyn, I'm told. Scott, welcome to Scrub Sunday on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, fellas, how you doing?
Doing great.
I guess I feel, I don't know. I mean, at this point with Kevin, it's like, you can't tread across him in some way and not have him get upset. Where I was when the announcement came through, and I wasn't surprised, because the one thing you had to remember, the last 5 minutes of Game 7, the scoreless streak, Kevin by himself mitigates any shooting slump at the end of a game. What was it? I guess a week. What was it? I think 5 days later, you had the NBA draft, and on draft night, when everybody was saying, well, he needs to run it back with the Thunder because they were up 3-1, OKC traded Ibaka.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just going, he's not staying because, once again, they're not going to pay anybody to stay. It wouldn't have surprised me if Clay Bennett had said the two words that are most upsetting to any basketball player: hometown discount.
That ain't happening. Although, if there is, honestly, Scott, if there is a league there that where guys take less in some instances, it's the NBA, right? You don't see that in any other sport. Guys in the NBA will opt not to stay with their team and move on, so they don't always take a lot less, but they've been known to take a little bit less.
And pardon me, but real quick, Scott and Coz, as you guys know, Durant did take less than he could have taken when he was here, so that the Warriors would be able to cobble together a more representative roster.
And again, but I would always go back and say, yeah, but he was probably also tired of playing with Russ and watching the end of tight ball games, and Russ deciding that he had to go for the shot as opposed to going to maybe the most singular dead bang scorer of this generation.
I will say this about the whole playing with Russ thing, is that remember when he stood by Russell Westbrook at a press conference and he called Mark Cuban an idiot? Cuban had made a comment, and he said, Cuban's an idiot. He just cut the question off, and he said, Cuban's an idiot. And he did it with Russell Westbrook sitting by his side, and it was in the playoffs. And I believe it was Mark Cuban. It might have been someone else. But I remember KD standing up for Russell Westbrook. Then when he left and Westbrook said, he never told me. This blindsides me. I never saw this coming. I think that's when there was the rift as well. But maybe there was one beforehand, Scott. I don't know.
Put it this way about Kevin. I think him and Kleinman probably play everything very close to the vest, especially around his teammates. And I did, he's going to say the right thing in public, but in his, if something sets him off, he's just going to remember it and go forward. And if it comes time where he has to separate from somebody, he's going to separate.
That's true. That's true. Hey, listen, we got to run, Scott. I thought you were from Brooklyn. It's our friend Berkeley, Scott. Happy Independence Day, and I hope you have a great 4th of July. I was all excited that maybe Scott had seen KD in Brooklyn. It's our friend Berkeley, Scott.
I thought it was a great bit you were doing, and I was all in on it. Hey, Brooklyn, that's funny, Durant. Yeah, I bought it the whole way.
I didn't know it was Berkeley. I'll be darned. That'll change things. If I ask you your favorite Kevin Durant moments, and I'll let you think about that for a second, Whitey.
I got it. But yeah,
do you really?
Ahead. Oh yeah.
See, go ahead.
The jump shot he made in the 2017 finals, right in LeBron's face. That really was kind of the dagger, the nail in the coffin. Yeah, it was huge.
So that's the moment for you.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, for me, I don't have on-court moments. I have off-court moments. And One of them is I did a sit-down interview with him for NBC on the day of his press conference, and he was incredibly thoughtful. And by that I mean I asked a question, and you can tell he was noodling it through in his head. He knew the moment that he wanted, that freedom moment to go wherever he wanted, was really mercurial. There were a lot of big, strong, deep opinions about him just exercising his ability to be free, which is interesting. And I think it affected him as a person at the time. And we remember the story of him being in bed for 36 straight hours after he made his decision because all of these opinions were getting thrown at him. He didn't know that was part of what he had signed up for. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of my memories of him. That's one of my favorite moments for KD is just watching him as I interviewed him. It was fascinating. It's one of my favorite interviews that I've ever done. The other moment, though, is him fighting with, as choir sultan with some stupid 15-year-old suburban Oklahoma City kid. Why is it that I can't get those moments out of my head when I should be thinking about how great Kevin Durant was as a player? And let's not kid ourselves, he was the best basketball player on the planet in those years he was playing with the Warriors.
Just to clarify for me, it was that was Game 3, 26-foot go-ahead three over LeBron with just under a minute to play, 118-113, the Warriors won. But I think to answer your question is because he's just so often reminded us of that side of him, right? He's done so many things that just keep reminding you of how, okay, he is unhappy with this or that. He's bitter. He just has done so many things that bring that top of mind. That's why.
There's some good responses here on our text line at 888-957-9570. I was stationed in Jersey, depressed because the Warriors just lost. I was at home relaxing, couldn't believe it. That's a good one. I'd been backpacking. I'd been on a backpacking trip in Canada until July 6th. So the 925 hates America. I get it, 925, but I will continue. So there was no way to find out the news. As my group regained phone data reception on the bus, you can imagine the freak out. That's cool. That's actually pretty cool, is that you're actually isolated. You, quite frankly, 925, I owe you an apology. We should be without our phones more often. We should not have service more often so we can get together as human beings and look each other in the eye and have a fun time. But that's pretty cool, is that you don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, some guy gets reception, Whitey. He goes, hey, wait a minute. It looks like Katie's going to the Warriors. That would be a pretty cool moment to figure it out that way.
Did you think he was going to stay in Oklahoma City? I had, I still have, a good friend who's a big Thunder fan, and I remember early in the season I had a bet with him. I said, I will bet you Durant is leaving. And he was like, no, he's not leaving, not leaving. And I knew it was going to bother my friend so much that I rescinded the bet. I said, just, we don't have that bet anymore. But I did it because I knew that I was going to win, and I knew it was going to absolutely tear him apart. And I was
really?
Like, it was like a mercy thing. It's like, yeah, because I knew he was going to have because he was like, oh, he's not leaving. And after a while, when it became more apparent to me that he was, I said, you know what? Let's forget about that whole thing. Okay, let's just forget about that.
I didn't think he was going to Golden State for some reason. I did not think he was going to go there. From the 415, I was in Boston on vacation. The Celtics were so sure they were getting Durant, they had already printed Durant jerseys. They started burning those Celtic Durant jerseys right after he made his decision.
Yikes.
And they talked about it all day on Boston Sports Talk Radio.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I guess mission accomplished, right? Just think how – I was thinking of this today. Let's say the Warriors win in 2016, okay? So the 73-win team, they win the championship. So Durant doesn't come here, right? Mm-hmm. And then who knows what happens after that. The Warriors probably don't win another one. They're probably pretty good. But then let's say second time around for Durant, let's say he came here then. So instead of going to Brooklyn, he came to the Warriors. And had passed on the Warriors the first time around. Just think how differently everything would look around here right now.
Let's see here. 408. Coz, I will never forget that day. I was hungover bad from the night before. It totally woke me up, and I couldn't post on Facebook quick enough to brag about it. Happy 4th from Gil in the 408. Thank you, Gil. That's great. A little hungover, that snaps you out of the hangover because you got Kevin Durant. I just didn't see him coming to Golden State because of the way they lost. I thought he would not come to the champs or to a team that was deemed championship caliber because of the great year they had. I just didn't see him coming here. I thought he would go. I thought he was going to stay. I really did think he was going to stay and finish business in Oklahoma City. And quite frankly, I hope if Jim Kozimor gets to write the story of the NBA, Kevin Durant finishes his career with one season in an Oklahoma City uniform. With all of these picks that they have, what do they have, 27 picks in the next 3 years, some ungodly number of picks?
Yes, that's correct.
And it is amazing that, what does KD have? 5 years left in his career? 7 years? 5 years? 5 years is a pretty good guess.
That's a good number.
It is a good number. So let's go with 5. That maybe when he's done in Brooklyn, maybe they win 1 or 2 chips, and Oklahoma City in 5 years is about ready to start their run, that KD comes back and plays one more year in the OKC Thunder uniform. I'd love to see that happen.
I think it is far more likely that he ends up coming back to the Bay Area for a year or two. And a lot of people around the Warriors. I'm not kidding. A lot of people around the Warriors say, "Oh yeah, they that's certainly something that's possible." Don't be surprised if that happens. I'm serious.
I'm having a hard time believing that one. You know what? I will, and here's where I will cross you on that with this. In 5 years, we may have a Seattle Supersonics back in the NBA. Mm-hmm. What about him closing out his career with one season as a Sonic, because he had one season as a Sonic that began his great, illustrious Hall of Fame-worthy career?
Oh, there'd be some symmetry there, but I can't imagine it really would mean much to him. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think he ever really developed any real ties there.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Don't you remember when the Warriors and the Kings played that epic preseason game up in Seattle at Key Arena? And everyone said, oh, that is the worst tease ever. One, you bring back the Warriors with Kevin Durant, who was ours for one season. And 2, you bring back the Kings, who our guy thought he had bought and was going to move to Seattle and start playing there. They thought it was the worst thing the NBA could do to the city of Seattle, as if it wasn't bad enough letting them leave the first time.
Yeah. Wasn't that in part because Rick Welts had been a ball boy up in Seattle? Wasn't that
That's where it all began.
Yeah.
That's where it all began. All right, so more on Kevin Durant, more on the Golden State Warriors and the NBA playoffs. 2 hours are done here with the Scrub Sunday, Whitey Gleason and Jim Kozimor. Are the Warriors a team that can consider a chase for a ring? We are going to talk about this forevermore. As long as Steph, Clay, and Draymond are wearing a uniform, we're going to be talking about it. We're going to talk about it when we continue. And we'd love to hear from you. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. It is a glorious 4th of July Sunday on a Scrub Sunday on 95.7 The Game.
Why is there a harbor seal walking around the office?
Oh, that's our new CEO.
Come again?
Well, apparently they didn't order through EasyCater for the board meeting, and when the food didn't arrive, they kind of lost focus. Next thing you know,
we have a seal as our CEO. Did I say something wrong?
No, she just wants a mackerel. Here you go.
Bad ideas happen when there's no food for the meeting. So make sure it's on time and as ordered from more than 80,000 restaurants. Now, EasyCater.
Thank you. I just got promoted.
Order 24/7 on EasyCater.com.
Hey, I'm Peter Bukowski, host of the Locked On Today podcast. Trying to stay on top of every big story in sports is a full-time job. I know, because it is my full-time job. But it's not yours. That's why we have a network of local experts ready to give you the inside scoop on everything you truly need to know in the sports world. And we do it every day to make sure you're always caught up on the latest and greatest in sports. Listen to the Locked On Today podcast every day on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts.